Okay, welcome back to the channel. I hope everyone is doing well today. Shout out to all the subscribers. Big up to anybody new locked in. Tank Davis and Ryan Garcia are going to get it on this Saturday, the 22nd in Las Vegas at 136 pounds. That's 1 pound above the lightweight division. This is a super fight. It's a great fight for boxing. It's going to include, we're going to get the crossover casual fans. We're going to get the regular boxing fans. We're going to get the hardcore fans all coming together to enjoy this spectacle. And, you know, obviously two power punchers on display, both very explosive, both stars in their own right. The winner of this, you know, it's said that they'll be the face of boxing, and it's hard to argue that because, you know, they're willing to put their, you know, their reputation on the line and try to be the best in the division by fighting the best in the division. And, you know, I can't wait for this coming Saturday. So let's talk about the particulars.
Boxing.
Okay, so apologies if this video is coming a little bit late. I actually shot the whole thing yesterday and I had to redo the whole thing. I was just like, it wasn't very good. I missed a bunch of stuff and I was just like, sometimes, I've said before on this channel, I let my artistry get in the way and it gets a bit too wacky and wild. So I just had to tone it down. I just wanted to talk some boxing with you guys and just relax a little bit. But anyway, let's get into the tail of the tape, okay? Because as you can see straight away, the height advantage Ryan Garcia has. He's 4 years younger than Tank, and he has a slight reach advantage. Obviously, they're both coming in at 136 pounds, and you can see the KO difference for Tank is, you know, a few percentage more, and that's what this fight is, you know, largely based on, is the power. Although I think there's, well, a lot of boxing fans know that there's far more to this than just power, but both guys possess, you know, extreme power, especially Tank. He's got that hard knock you out. It is explosive. They're both explosive powers. They're both flashy and they're both sort of twitchy. And, you know, Ryan Garcia's is a bit more speedy, and it's the punches that you don't see really hurt, but Tank's got that flashy power as well. And that's what makes it so appealing, on top of the fact that they're both stars, like I said. And, you know, we want to see the best fight the best. It's great for the sport, it really is. So, but with Tank, like, he's so good. He's so good. His footwork is great, his IQ, his intelligence. He's a very smart fighter. You know, he's got so many wrinkles. He's a complete fighter, really. He can counter punch, he can fight going forwards, he can press you, he can fight going backwards. You know, his arrangement of punches and his punch selection and the shots he can take you out with is marvelous. You know, and Ryan Garcia has that knock you out, and they both do, like I said. But Tank knows what he's getting himself into. You know, he mentioned it in the All Access, which I thought was really interesting. You know, he said something like, I don't want to get hit with that stuff.
This camp, I'm definitely working my defense because I ain't trying to get hit with none of them punches.
Meaning Garcia's power, because it comes out of nowhere and it knocks people out. And that's what makes this fight so interesting too, is like the tactics of it. How's it going to play out? Obviously, there's a rehydration clause with Garcia. He has to... he's not allowed 10 pounds past the weight he is at the weigh-in on the night of the fight, I believe, something like that. And now people are upset with this. Some people are. I don't have the biggest issue with it. It's part of the sport because it is legal, and the IBF actually do it anyway as a sanctioning, as a belt, as a sanctioning body rule. They have that as their, you know, 10 pound. You can't go over 10 pounds. I mean, I remember Danny Jacobs, when he fought Golovkin, had the IBF belt, and they both had to do that. But, you know, there's been other cases. There'll be more cases in the future. It's just trying to get an edge, whether you like it or not. I don't love it, but it is what it is. So will that play a part in the fight? Maybe down the stretch. Depends how Ryan Garcia can do it. There are, if you are super ultra disciplined at getting the weight, he's only 24 as well. Do you know what I mean? He's fought at lightweight. He just fought at 140 pounds, but I don't think it should be a big deal. If you do it right and you measure yourself properly, especially if you know, obviously he's going to have to manage the fight in the ring on the night as well. But we'll see, because how I think this fight will go. I mean, look, I do think Tank will come out similar like he did against Rolly, where he understood the strength he had in front of him, you know, and the I say threat, obviously, like Rolly is a threat because he's awkward and he's so physically strong, you know. And I think Tank knew that, and I think he's going to do the same for Garcia. I'm not saying Garcia is physically strong, but he does pack some heat in those punches, you know. And I think Garcia is going to come out and put Tank on the back foot and start fizzing off some of those shots. Not necessarily, like, sometimes he was throwing shots at Fortuna, especially that straight right hand. You know, he'll just whiz it out there. And when you catch those shots and you can even feel them on the elbows or on that, you can really get a sense to how fast and how powerful somebody is. And I think that might put Tank on the back foot. And I think it will cause Tank to lose some early rounds, which will be deliberate, because obviously that saying, you know, where he's downloading the data, which is a little overused now, but you understand what I'm saying. He's processing all this. He's gauging the speed. He's gauging any, you know, mistakes that Garcia consistently makes. He's building a case for him to land that, what a lot of people think will be the similar punch that he landed against Rolly, which, you know, I completely see that, of course. Ryan Garcia needs to be careful that he doesn't fall in on his shots and leave himself too open, because he does have a tendency to do that. And that's one of my biggest concerns about this fight, is at some point he's probably going to make a mistake, and will Tank capitalize? And if he does, will Garcia have a big enough chin to deal with it? Look, his powers of recovery are quite remarkable. Let's be honest. When he got dropped against Luke Campbell, he got up instantly and he looked and sounded okay, and then it just didn't affect him. That's a champion spirit right there. Now, will Tank? Obviously, Tank's not what's his name? I was about to call him Luke Gordon. Luke Campbell. Tank, obviously, if Tank catches him with a shot like that, it's probably good night. But, you know, I think there is a bit of room for Garcia's spirit to deal with some maybe lesser clean shots if Tank hits him with it. Maybe. I just think he's got there's a tougher dude in there that people might realize, you know. He's got this sort of clean-cut actor image. He comes across like an actor for me, but you know, he's got an opportunity, I think, really to assert himself in the early rounds by, you know, whizzing those hard shots out there. He's obviously got that awesome left hook, which can change a fight at any minute, and they're going to be very wary about that. You know, Tank's got his right hook, but I think that could be nullified because of Garcia's left hook, and his left hook to the body as well is excellent. Garcia has had some issues with footwork in the past, okay? He does have an issue with getting his foot on the outside of the southpaw. Not that you need to do that for every single shot. There are some times where I've seen him be successful of getting a short hook or a jab even. So, but it's not even a thought, and sometimes it does affect his balance, and sometimes he gets caught up with it, and it can be detrimental to him. So he needs to be a bit wary of that, because Tank's, you know, obviously his footwork is just far more supreme, and that's how Luke Campbell actually dropped Garcia. Is getting his foot on the outside. It gets your leverage. It gets you the angles, you know, amongst a couple of other little things. Gets you the weak side exit, but it does set up the power shots. And if Tank's going to land that backhand, you know, I was thinking about Tank's uppercut, and I was thinking, okay, he really likes to throw that, you know, slip uppercut with his backhand. It's a beautiful shot. It's a little harder to land against a taller fighter, and he did try it a couple times. He did catch Santa Cruz with it, and obviously he ended the fight with Santa Cruz. That was an amazing punch, but I can't see Garcia being as foolish as throwing 3 straight right hands in a row on the ropes. But he did try to land it against Barrios too. It's harder to get in there because of the height. You know, when you're thinking if someone's head's there, you can just shoot an uppercut. But when the head's there, the trajectory's a little weird. It can be done, and Tank's great, but I think it's not the most obvious punch. I think that back left hand, you know, what Tank does, you know, like I often compare fighters to like snakes, you know, how they punch like a snake. Okay, if you watch the way Tank, you know, like snakes are just there controlling, like without moving. Their tongue might be hissing, and then the minute to strike, boom. And that's just like, you know, when you watch a good counter puncher, sharp with that venom, you know, Tank's got that venom. And you know, Garcia does too, but Tank's he's a way better counter puncher. When he's on the back foot, he can just wait for that right moment, like he did against Rolly, like he did against Santa Cruz, and just finish a fight, to be honest. And it's just, that's why it's like, I think this fight is actually going to be quite cagey, very cagey. I think there's going to be a lot of respect there, and I think the first 6, 7, maybe even 8 rounds will be very cagey. There'll be a lot of tension, you know, when 2 power punchers are in there, and they're kind of, you know, the crowd might be waiting, anticipating just violence and fireworks, and it might be the opposite. But I think the second half of the fight will be fascinating, and it could be, we could see Tank walking Garcia down once he's gauged and taken all that information, gauged his power a little bit. Tank is great. He walked Santa Cruz down. Obviously, Santa Cruz is far smaller and doesn't punch anywhere near as hard, and that might be the one thing that prevents Tank from doing that, walking Garcia down. If he feels that power, he's not going to want to be in that range for too long. But, you know, if he does do that, he could quite easily walk Garcia down and take him out that way as well. You know, Tank's got more ways of finishing and ending and winning the fight, for me, to be honest. And I've thought about this long and hard, and I'll keep going back and forth. And you know, I think we're going to get potentially a really good fight, or potentially a very cagey, anticlimactic fight. I hope we don't, because I know there's a lot of casuals that are watching this, and I really want, you know, they want to be entertained, so we can bring them into the sport and educate them a little bit. And if there are any casuals watching, you know, shout out to you. Curious of your thoughts. Leave them in the comments if you've got any opinions about this fight. I'd love to hear from you. But I obviously, the general consensus is Tank's going to stop Garcia rounds like 8 to 10 or 8 to 11. I 100% hear that. I hear that. But there's the intuition. There's something telling me that I think Garcia is going to get an early lead. I think he's going to come out, you know, with his fast shots and put Tank on the back foot, and he's going to able to build up some momentum in rounds. Rolly did, to be honest. It was a fairly, you know, he won some early rounds, Rolly did. And in fact, one thing that I forgot to say in my other fight is, I forgot to say a few things, I'll say them now. One thing that Garcia, for me, has to do in order to be more successful, or at least to get to Tank and maybe even hurt him if he can, is to get creative with his punches. Okay, when you're dealing with an elite fighter like Tank, it's very hard to land one shot. So, you know, the creativity, you have to create openings. And if you watch, even Rolly did it. Okay, Rolly got to Tank by being creative. I'll show you the clip now, but like Garcia, if Rolly can do that, Garcia can do that. You know, it's like where you feint with one hand, come in with the other. Take your eyes, you gotta like give some tricks to Tank. He's gonna see everything. He's too intelligent. His hand-eye coordination is too good, too sharp. You know, he's ready for you. So you have to throw in some creativity, I think, on top of a lot of other things, on top of not falling in, not making mistakes, you know, not getting clear, you know, all these, there's like a few things. But I think if he's creative in spots, and maybe he can hurt Tank. And, you know, I think, you know, we're just talking about little edges here, but I think the creativity for me is one thing. Another thing for Tank, which I forgot to mention in my last fight, is, look, his Gazelle punches. All right, let's talk about those. I mean, I can't remember his, excuse that noise, that's just my heater. But those Gazelle punches, he sets up very intelligently. Right, he'll feint downstairs, and then once he leans in, he'll just jump with that beautiful shot. That is absolutely going to be there. On top of obviously the back left hand, maybe the left uppercut. I don't think the right hook will be a big factor. I really don't, just because of the Garcia's left hook might nullify that. But when you break it down and you think about all these things, there's a lot of fascinating elements to this fight that just brings it to just this beautiful spectacle, and I cannot wait. And you know, when you have like Tank, you know, I was honored and, you know, privileged to be at the Pedraza fight when he won that fight 5-6 years ago. He is adored. Okay, he came out to a standing ovation, and he left with a standing ovation. And where I'm going with this is when you put all that in, the love and respect he has, and the desire people have for him to knock somebody out. He's only ever knocked basically everybody out. I think, was it he's at Cruz is the only one, maybe one other. But People come to see him knock him out. They love his power. He's blessed with serious power. Pay-per-view, all eyes watching, millions of people watching, thousands of people in the stand, and he can still control that power, you know. I often refer to power as like, you know, the Lord of the Rings, the ring, where it's like you give it to someone and they just want to like abuse it. Tank doesn't abuse his power. He knows exactly when to use it, and that is a remarkable trait. Remarkable. And the patience for Tank, for me, is what will probably win him the fight. But, and I say a but, there's something telling me that I think Ryan Garcia is going to, I think this fight will go 12 rounds. I think he's going to make it through. I really do. I think he's going to win a lot of early rounds, and I think he's going to be a lot tougher than people think, and I think he's going to be a lot gamer, and I think he's going to, I think, I know it sounds crazy. I was chatting to somebody in my comment section yesterday. Shout out to you, and shout out to anybody that participated in the poll that I put up. You know, there's a lot of people, you know, 70% Tank, but there were a couple that were Garcia, and I'm actually going Garcia on points, believe it or not. I am. I think he's gonna come out. I think that power is gonna be, it's not gonna bother Tank. Tank's gonna be fine with it, don't get me wrong. I think he's just gonna lose rounds because of it, okay? And look, Garcia's got to be very disciplined. He's got to tick a lot of boxes for this to happen. So I'm not like super confident this is going to happen, but I get the Tank KO between 7 and 11, 100%. But I think people, I'm not saying they're underestimating Garcia, but you know, people are giving him a puncher's chance. When you hear that, it doesn't. I think he's got a bit more than a puncher's chance. You know, it just leads to you to think that, oh, okay, he's just going to go out there and do his best, and maybe he'll catch him with a lucky shot. I think he's got a bit more than that, you know, and I think he will win just on points in a close fight. I think he's going to do a lot of early round winning. Not a lot of rounds, but I think he'll get some in the bank, and then I think he'll be in there. And I think he might even hurt Tank, but of course, it could be over for him. And as soon as he makes that mistake, and Tank could quite easily walk him down and take him out in the mid to late rounds as well. But I'm going to stick with my points prediction. Mix it up a little bit, do you know what I mean? But no, I'm so glad I redid this video. Thank you for watching. It means a lot. I really appreciate it. I'm trying to get the right energy on these videos consistently. And I apologize that this took a bit. I know I put it on my community post, I'd have it up on Wednesday, but it's out now, and you know, I can't wait for this fight. We got to pay for this. I know it's like $85 in America, but I'm such an advocate of paying for fights that are really worth it. You know, it's really going to help the sport, and that's all that I want, you know. So, but that's it from me. I hope you guys have a great week. It's Wednesday today. Hopefully I'll get this out tonight. I'm off to the gym in a minute. I'll get some more short videos there. Shout out to anybody that's been watching those, and yeah, peace and love to everybody. I hope you guys get to enjoy the fight. I'm out of here. Boxing on the edge.
Boxing
on the edge. 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 On the edge.